to the September 2022 Diby Club Sew Along. I'm so excited for my first sew along with you guys. By popular vote, we are going to make the Mae Poncho Sweater. It is a great fall sweater, and I'm going to be using a pink plaid brushed sweater knit from the Serge Fabric Shop. It has a four-way stretch and some great drape. This pattern is a 1.5 out of 5 in terms of difficulty, making it great for a beginner sewist. Let's take a look at our table of contents. In this video, we're going to go through that first gray section, which has, before you start, find your size, pick your options, what do you need to make this, and how will it fit? And how will it fit is going to loop back to influencing the size you pick based on the fit you're looking for, because sewing your clothes is all about getting the fit you want. So before you start, if you are new to sewing or in a beginner stage, this page is for you. We have links to our site with the guides for learning to sew, which includes our guide to sewing with knits, a link to our Facebook community, which has some great advice and where you can share what you've made. If this is your first PDF pattern, there's a tutorial for how to work with no print trim PDF patterns. There is a tutorial for printing only the sizes that you need, and that is also something I'm going to talk about in my next video. There is also a link for downloading Adobe Acrobat Reader. I use that to print my PDFs so I can select only the layers that I want for printing. So finding your size. The first step to picking the size you will make is to measure yourself. The most accurate way is to have somebody else measure you. If that is an option, there is a tutorial on the site about accurately measuring yourself. There is also a link to download your personalized measurement chart. It is really best to measure yourself on a regular basis. So I'm going to be working in the inches or imperial chart. There is also a metric chart. I've already measured myself, and I am working in the women's plus size chart. And like nearly all people, I don't fit neatly into one column. Sometimes I'm between columns. So you can see here that I'm in the 22, or between the 20 and 22, the 24, between 22 and 24, and the 18 and the 16 columns. So, like I said, if this was going to be something that was graded, I would be printing this whole size range, but this is a loose flowing shirt, so I'm not going to be grading between the patterns. So let's pick our options. You can mix and match your options. I'm going to go with closed sides with cuffs, a cowl neckline, and long sleeves. So how much fabric will you need for this? Let's take a look at what you will need. So I will need 2 yards for the bodice, 1 yard for the cowl, and a yard for the closed side cuffs. And if I have enough left over, I'm going to make the belt, which uses 3/8 of a yard, but I need 4 for those 3 things. So let's take a look at how it will fit. Taking the sizes from the chart, on the upper end is the 22 and the 24. Let's double check that. Okay. And then on the lower end, it was the 16. So I really like that length of the 22 and the 20, in that section, because that is 33.3 inches long. It'll go perfect with leggings, kind of a shorter dress. So I really like that length. My waist is 45 inches, which is the measurement that's in this chart. And since this is designed to have a lot of flow and a lot of room, I'm going to actually go down to the 14 plus, which is about 10 inches less than the 24, because I do want it to be drapey and flowing, but not quite as much drape and flow as is in the, the design, the fit. So important to note, when you measure the bodice length, that is measured from the top of the bodice shoulder to the finished hem of the shirt. So You know, make this how you want it to fit you. All right, so now for printing, what pages do I need to print? We do not need to print all of the pages. I'm pretty close though to needing all of these pages. So I'm going to need to print, highlight the sections that match what I'm making. All right, so I am going to need to print pages 1 through 4, 6 to 7, 11 to 14, and 16 and 17. And what I should have done is printed 21 to 40, but what I did do is print 21 to 35 and 35 or 37 to 40. Then I had to go back and print page 36. So don't do what I did, pay more attention than I did. And this top is going to go great with either the Augusta Moto pants or the Anything But Basic leggings. And I'm going to match them with a pair of the black ABB leggings, which I need to make. Okay, so we went through and I picked the size that I'm going to make and also identified the pages that I need to print. So I'm going to make the women's plus size 14, but I'm going to make it the length of the women's plus size 22 because I want it to be that 33 inches long so that I'm going to wear it with some leggings, like kind of like almost a dress, a tunic. All right, so the pages that I need to, so first I'm going to select my layers and then I'll go through and identify only the pages that I need to print. So we're going to leave the labels layer on and then we're going to turn off. We're leaving the size 22 on so that we can get that length right. And of course, leave the no trim print guide on. All right, and when we went through and picked the options for the for for the poncho that I'm making, so we're going to do the long sleeve with a cuff and the closed sides and the crawl neck. So that means we need pages 1 through 4, 6 through 7, 11 through 14, 16 to 17, 21 to 35, and 37 to 40. And so you want to make sure that you have picked actual size, don't pick fit, or custom scale. If you pick custom scale, you need to put in 100%. Make sure you don't print both sides of the paper. Orientation will be auto. Let's see if I put custom scale 100%, you can see there's no change in the little, actually I think it might have printed, maybe it prints a tiny bit more, so I'll leave it at that 100%. Comments and forms, obviously that's not relevant here. So it's going to print out 31 pages, and I'm going to go ahead and print that out and then come back when it is ready to assemble. Hello again. Tonight I am going to be doing the layout and cutting of my pattern pieces. Even when your pattern comes with a layout guide, it is a good idea to take a minute to see if that layout is going to work with your fabric and the options you've selected, especially if you have a directional pattern. I'm using this soft brushed sweater knit from Serge Fabric Shop, and it has about a 40% stretch. So I need to be really careful that as I'm laying out the fabric, I don't contort it and make my pattern uneven. So especially because I want my plaids to line up at the seams. So I'm going to be taking care when I cut to make sure that the pieces are each cut on the same sections of the plaid. And this pattern calls for 4 yards. I don't have a workspace that is 12 feet long, so I'm clipping the selvage edge edges and the fold to keep those plaids lined up. It's a bit of a tedious process, but it keeps that gorgeous plaid all lined up. So at the other end of the table, I'm folding up the fabric because I don't want it to hang off the end and pull on the fabric that is on the table. I know it's tempting to just let it slough off the end, but that'll pull and contort your knit there. So nearly all the pieces of this pattern are cut on the fold. There are 4 pattern pieces that are, 3 are cut twice, and then the belt is cut 4 times. The front and the back bodice are cut from the same piece, but have 2 different necklines. Cut the back bodice first, and then the front bodice. Okay, so I'm cutting with my rotary blade and holding the pieces in place with some heavy S-hooks. Right, so I'm gonna, I mentioned that I'm lining up my sides, the plaids on my sides. So I'm picking a spot to line this up that will be easy to replicate when I cut the front bodice piece. So that corner up there is my anchor point. So I'm kind of a chaotic sewist, so I'm also making sure that I clip the bottom of my paper piece to the fold so that it doesn't slide around on me. And there's an open side option, and for the open side option, you cut a different line on the side of the bodice. All 4 pieces have a grain line that is important to pay attention to and plan for. So make sure that you do that. I've cut out the first neck and back piece, and I thought that I had the neck piece in the shot here, but I did not. And again, with the neck piece, I made sure to line it up the first time in a way that I could easily replicate with my second cut so that those 2 also match up. So here you can see I'm cutting out my second round of the bodice and the neck piece. And so starting first with the bodice, and again, now we're doing the front bodice, so it's got a different neckline. So again, before I did that, clip, straighten, clip, clip, get it all in place. And this time you do get to see the second neck piece being lined up and then cut. So again, taking a careful look at where on my design did I have it the first time and making sure that I lined that up good and straight. I love these S-hooks when I'm doing just a piece or 2 at a time. I really need to get some more or a different heavy set of objects to do, a full set of pattern pieces. So now I'm going to start to work on the sleeve pieces, which are also cut on a fold, but this time the fold is not parallel to the selvage edge. So, I had to take the fabric, figure out where I'm going to put the fold line, and then straighten it all out, clip things in place so that again, my lines for that plaid are straight. this all would have gone a lot faster if I had not picked this gorgeous plaid, but I mean, how could I resist? So as you prepare to cut the belt pieces, make sure that you've resituated your fabric so that the grain line is going in the right direction. And also that you mirror the pieces. So you've got two going one way and two the other. I messed up my first two cuts and then had to spend a few minutes wondering why the scrap that I was going to use didn't line up with how I had it lined up. So, more straighten, clip, clip, pay more attention than I did again. And so that you've got your grain line going the right way. And again, I wanted my belt pieces to come out on the same section of the plaid pattern so that they line up. So I picked a section that made a nice, that would look good with that belt section, and lined that up. So all in all, together with my false starts, which there were two of which that you didn't see here, according to the various video clips that I made, it took me an hour and a half to cut. It shouldn't honestly not take you that long, because the slowest part was folding and matching my plaid lines for a good clean cut. But you're also going to be working with a knit fabric that's got some good stretch. So you'll just want to make sure that you don't hang it over the edge, right? Because you don't want it to be pulling, and that you have got it all straight and flat. You just don't necessarily probably need to take the time to line up the plaids. And if you're careful, you won't have to cut any of your belt pieces an extra 2 times because you didn't line it up properly the first time. So tomorrow, which by the time you watch this will be today, I am going to be assembling the bodice and the neck, and then I will be posting that on Wednesday. So I hope that you stick around and that you had some successful laying out of your pattern pieces on your fabric, and I'd love to see the fabrics that you are working on for your project. Happy sewing! Okay, we're going to start with the shoulder seams. And I'm going to clip these together, and then I am going to sew them up. I have my machine set on 4-thread overlock. I've already gone ahead and adjusted the tension and the settings so that I'm happy with the way the stitches came out on my sample. So. Sew up these side seams, and you can see I've switched machines because the side seams have a kind of a sharp corner here. You go boop, and then boop, right? And
So I know that there are people who are real experts on their sergers, and they can do that. I am not those people. So again, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And we're going to sew up these two sides, and then we are going to go ahead and I'm not going to finish off the bottom, meaning I am not going to serge the bottom. Knits do not tend to unravel, so it's really not necessary to go from machine to machine in this particular case. I do prefer a serged edge. I think it's a cleaner look. But for this bottom hem, we're just going to be pressing it up an inch, and then sewing it with either a couple different stitch options. So we'll take a look at that when we get there. So first I am using number 12, which is a stretch stitch. Good times. First SewAlong, and I'm already using the seam ripper. But you know what? That happens sometimes. It's how it goes. All right. Okay, stitches undone. We are going to call it a night. So, thank you for joining me on tonight's adventure.
So the side seams have this spot at the where would normally be an arm sickle. It's just like this little notch. So we're going to sew 3/8 of an inch in and then down. We gotta make that sharp corner there, and we're gonna go all the way to the end and make sure to back stitch at each end. Okay, now that we've got both of those side seams done, let's get that 1-inch hem done. So take a quick look at the instructions, and you've got a couple of choices about how you finish both the edges and then how you finish your actual hem. So we've got a 1-inch hem that we're gonna press and then pin. And then I am gonna use a longer straight stitch. But you could also use if you have a twin needle, you can use a twin needle on your standard machine. If you have a cover stitch machine, you could go ahead and finish it like that. But remember, we're working with a knit, and this bottom is probably going to get some tug and pull. So we'll want to make sure that we give it a good stretchy stitch.
Okay, we're going to assemble that neck so that we can put it into the sweater. So we're going to take both the lining and the main piece, run a stretch stitch down that curved edge. Then we're going to turn the lining piece right side out, put them inside each other with the right sides together, and then sew up that long, the bottom of the collar that's going to sit outside the sweater. And then we're going to turn it right side out and move on to attaching it. Okay, it is time to attach that cowl neck to the sweater. So, taking a look at our instructions, we are going to turn our sweater inside out and then layer the cowl inside it. And so it'll be facing upside down, and your main fabric will be facing the right side of your sweater. And we need to take the center seam of the cowl neck and line it up with the center of the back of the sweater. Okay, here we are. We're coming down to the end. This is the last task that we have, which is attaching the sleeve cuffs. So we're going to take those 2 sleeve cuffs that we cut out, fold them in half the long way with right sides together, and we're going to run a 3/8 of an inch stitch down that open long side. Okay, and then we're going to fold it in half and turning it inside out, so to speak, so that the fold line that's going to sit lowest on your arm is at that narrowest point in the cuff. And then we're going to take the cuff and we're going to take our inside out sweater sleeve opening, and we're going to stuff it in the cuff and attach our cuff around there. And you can either finish off that edge with your cover stitch or serger, or again, you can always do it with a zigzag, or being a knit, just leave it open. Congratulations, you did it. I knew you could do it. This is really a straightforward pattern, and if you ever have any questions about this one or any other pattern, just shoot us an email over at support@doitbetteryourself.club, and we'd love to help you out. Thanks for sticking around for this sew along, and I hope you enjoyed it.